Hi, I'm Abigail Amofa. I'm a volunteer to this project. Yes. Can you introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Mr. Koko Antigha. I'm a resident in the local community of Kensington area, Liverpool, Merseyside. Okay. I've lived in Kensington for many, many years. Okay. And I've been involved with this building for some time.
Okay. So before acting as a music teacher with now the Christian Gold House Chapel, were you a high-ranking officer with Gilbert Deya?
Yes, I also used to be a music teacher there. I was the music director, controlling the choir. We had a very large choir. Oh, wow. It was very nice and beautiful. And we had a very lovely congregation. Okay. The Gilbert Deya Ministry was a very open and welcoming place. Okay. And people came from miles around to enjoy the Christian fellowship here and community spirit. Okay. As I said before, from 2001 till 2005, okay, thereabout. I left about 2005 because we had to go to establish another ministry. But I think it probably stayed on till 2007 or 8 or 9 before it finally shut down.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes. Yeah. Were you part of the Deya Ministry at the time Gilbert Deya, a Kenyan-born Pentecostal pastor at his church? Were you doing really well opening branches across the UK? Oh
yes, it was a very phenomenal ministry. It grew like wildfire. It grew like a plant that came into full bloom and harvest in so little a time. I've never seen such a meteoric development. It came up so quickly, and before we could even blink, we were setting up branches all over the country, the United Kingdom. We had branches everywhere: London, Manchester, Glasgow, Birmingham, some of the other cities like very small towns, Milton Keynes, Leeds. There was a church there in Leeds, past Manchester. Okay. And then the main headquarters was in London. Okay. It enjoyed a meteoric rise. Everything just flourished. It was so nice. Oh. Yeah.
What are some of the community activities the church was involved in? If you don't?
We were involved in, mainly it was a Christian worship center. Okay. Where there were church services, a Christian worship center. Okay. But it also supported community collaboration, community integration, in terms of inviting people to come and be part of the church from the local community. And people came from miles around, and we saw it as a very nice achievement and challenge to think of what can we do, what activities can we do to bring people together.
Eventually, the Deya Ministry got into problems and the church closed down. What led to the quick decline, and what happened when the church closed down?
Yeah, what led to the decline? As I said, we were when we acquired the building was in a very bad state of function, bad state of repair. So we were trying to do it ourselves and exploring the opportunities and avenues to raise grant funding, because we were a charity. The church was a registered charity, national registered charity. So we believe that we'll qualify for funding, grant funding from other organizations, international, national, regional. So we began to look for ways to do it, and we're doing very well. Constructively, but the roof was leaking, walls were broken, things were bad. So we're trying to work constructively to restore the building. The effort was restoration. But sadly for us, while we're doing all of that and trying to collaborate with the community, bringing the community in, a scandal broke out, unfortunately, I'm sad to say. A scandal broke out within the church, where it was rumored and then eventually confirmed that the church leadership in London were involved in a miracle baby scandal, that they were trafficking babies under the impression that it was a miracle from God, that barren women who could not have children came into the church and they were prayed for. They somehow, by some design, I don't know whether by the hand of God, they got pregnant and they had babies. That was a story being floated around. And it encouraged a lot of people from near and far to come and join the church, but only for the whole saga to emerge as a scandal, that there was human babies trafficking from Africa to Liverpool and to London and to Manchester and all the other branches. When it was closely looked into, the Kenyan government got very angry because it was happening in Kenya. Women were taken to Kenya, and then the next thing they came back with babies, which was purported to have been born by those women, but in reality they weren't. As we heard, I'm not saying it, what I'm saying now is accurate, but as we heard, these were babies being born to people in the back streets of Kenya who couldn't look after the children, and the babies were given to church members and then eventually brought here as their own. So that was a big scandal, and it became a very big national disaster here in the United Kingdom. So our reputation went down the swamp immediately. And for me and many others, right-thinking people, we were affected by a bad name, you know. There's an English adage that says, a bad name sticks like mud. Yeah, bad reputation sticks like mud, and we couldn't take it anymore. How can we stay in a church and we are looked at as criminals? We are looked at as people who are doing wrong things. It didn't go well with servicing God, running a Christian church. So we thought the only way to escape this damnation is to leave Gilbert Deya Ministry and go and set up another ministry. And that is what we did by a general consensus. All the church members agreed, at least up to 80 to 90% agreed that we should go and set up a new ministry. And I was one of those leaders who actually worked very well to set up a new ministry in Liverpool. And we left.
With fewer people going to church, do you think the church can survive within 15 to 100 years?
It depends. There are two sides to that question. I like to say there are two sides, A and B. The A side is that the church of God, God said, on this stone will I build my church. If the church continues to do what is right before God, though times are hard, though things are hard, I believe that God will bring the right people to come and intervene in his church. Divine intervention from far and wide. If we only remember the story of the Good Samaritan in the Bible, what the Good Samaritan did. Yes, the church will get help eventually if it continues in that way, and so that it could exist for 50 to 100 years. And then the second thing the church needs to do in that direction is, while it's trying to restore the building, it should also find a way to get the community, the local community, the wider community in Liverpool and Kensington to get involved in its work. The more the people, the merrier, the better. Working together in a just and tolerant society, things will continue for the next 50 to 100 years, because it's a community hub, it's a community benefit for everybody. The sad part is, if the church is unable to attract people to come and get involved in its work, and the church doesn't manage to secure funding, grants funding from the politicians and the government circle. When I say the government circle, I mean like the local council, the local authority, and the central governments, and the larger charities who have money to help, to disburse money for renovation and restoration of the building, then there'll be no center. When there is no center, the church cannot last 50 years. When there's no center. But when there is a well-furnished and full-furnished center, it will attract people from the community, and it will be the community hub that it's supposed to be, and then it will impact on employment, social life, health issues, all the troubles that are troubling people in the community. If they use here, it will attract larger funding, committed funding and dedication to help the church, and the church will grow very well to be 50 years and beyond.
That's the end of the interview. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.